Hope you guys can
You're welcome, sir.
audible, right?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Okay. So, okay, let's start with the session for today. So, just to give you a heads up, as Aditya said, I have been working with Red Hat products, especially from past 15 years, working on various roles, and I started my career as system administrator, and now I am working as a senior solution consultant in Singapore, managing the both on-prem and cloud infrastructure. Okay, so that's a quick intro of myself. And with respect to this webinar will be for about 30 to 40 minutes. And in this session, I will talk about how, or maybe I would say like what Linux is and how Red Hat has evolved from Linux operating system, and the various technologies that the Red Hat has in its portfolio. And I will also talk about how this Red Hat Enterprise Linux is different from the traditional Windows operating system that you see in day-to-day life. Okay, and we will also discuss about the challenges that you usually encounter when you use Windows operating system. And then I will also talk about job opportunities, and and also I will be talking about the Red Hat Global Certification, where how the certification can help you guys to get a job opportunity, and then you can be successful in your career. And at the end of the session, we will have a Q&A. I know you guys might be having a lot of questions in mind, because you will be starting your career in 1 or 2 years, right? So I know you will have a lot of questions, maybe a technical or maybe towards how you can get a job. So I will help you to answer most of the questions, because there is also a time factor included. But even if you have any questions, you can always reach to Srilata Amrita Institute, or to myself, and we will be happy to help you to address those issues, whether it is whether those issues are with respect to training or with respect to your career improvement. Okay. All right. So let's start. So let's jump into the topic for today, which is Red Hat technologies and the career opportunities that you can get by using Red Hat technologies. Okay. Okay. Yep. So before we directly move on to what Red Hat is, I thought of talking about what Linux is, because Linux is the first operating system which was developed in late 1991 by Linus Torvald. Okay, and it is freely available for download, and it's basically evolved from open source foundation. Okay, so we'll talk about what is this open source foundation and why Linux is free. These are the two important points that you need to understand. Okay, that you will understand when we move on. And the next thing is Linux can be run on any platform. When I say platform, it can be a server, it can be okay. Sorry, before I move on, just wanted to know, I have seen some participants from computer CSC group, right? So Aditya, the whole team is from CSC team, or it's a combination of multiple groups?
Almost CSC, sir. It's multi-diverse, but
Oh,
almost
okay,
CSC.
okay. So there is a reason for asking it. So maybe I'll try to explain that why I have asked specifically to CSC. Okay, good. So so everyone knows, right, what a server is, how to how a program runs, and what you need to run a program, right? You need a server to run a program. You need to write a program. You need to code, run, and compile the code and run so that you can see the application on the front end, right? Similarly, you will have a backend database where your application will connect to backend database so that it can display the required results. So that is the overall picture of development as far as development is concerned. Okay, so and then Linux is it can run on any platform, when I say any platform, it can be a local hardware running in a data center, or it can be a server running in a public cloud. Okay, or it can be a x86 platform, or it can be a Spark or IBM base hardware as well. Okay, so basically this is the one. From this Linux, right? Okay, let me. Yeah. Okay, so the popular distributions from Linux are, you have a lot of distributors, Debian, Ubuntu, Fedora, and SUSE, but the most prominent distributor for Red Hat, for Linux is Red Hat. So what is the difference of distribution? And you might ask a question, what is the difference between Linux and a Red Hat? Okay, so I will give you a general example. So probably you have what you call, you know, you have cars which you in India, right? So you have famous brand like Maruti, or you have Hyundai and all, right? Those are the popular brands in the car market, right? And when you talk about Maruti, you have Swift, you have 800, you have different varieties of versions of your models, right? Those are nothing but your operating system that you see here. So Linux is the core kernel of the entire Unix based community, and all this Debian, Fedora, and Ubuntu are evolved by using the Linux distribution or Linux kernel. So even if you are good enough to have your own OS, you can download the Linux operating system. Basically, they call it as kernel. You can download the kernel. You can build your own operating system by using this kernel because it is free. So when I say free, is it free of cost? So does the companies, they don't have to pay anything to use the software? Any wild guesses? Okay, so when you say free to use, it is not in terms of pricing. It is free in terms of modifying the code. So when you have the Linux distribution kernel, you will have the liberty to change the code and make your OS work based on your business requirement. So that is the beautiness of Linux. So you will have the full rights, you will have all the code with you, and you can change the operating system and you can create your own operating system, and that any layman can do it. You don't have to have a enterprise company to build your own operating system. No. So the free word in the Linux environment is something like it is free to change the code, not to free to use. Okay, so you will have the liberty to change the code. So as I said, among these various distributions, Red Hat is the most prominent and mostly used enterprise operating system. We will also talk about why only Red Hat is more famous in terms of distribution. So there is a slide which talks about the entire portfolio of Red Hat. Okay. Now, okay. So next we'll move into, hope you guys have understand what Linux is and how it started. And now we actually move into the actual topic for today, which is what is Red Hat. Red Hat, okay, when you look at Red Hat is an operating system, okay. When I say operating system, it is pretty much similar to the operating system that you see on your laptops, desktops, or your servers, okay. So operating system acts as you guys know that operating system acts as a mediator between a user and the computer hardware, so that a user can run the instructions and your operating system will execute the code on top of your hardware, or using the OS acts as a mediator in between the user and the computer. So when you open a PowerPoint, or when you open a Word document, or when you run any particular code, your operating system will try to execute that command, whatever you give, and it will perform the act. Okay. Now, what is Red Hat? Red Hat is, as I said, it's an enterprise Linux. So now here the core thing you need to understand what enterprise is. Okay. So previous slide we have talked about Linux, right? We are saying that it is open source, right? So when you say open source, there is no support for the operating system. Let's say if I am running my own company, okay, and I have downloaded my own Linux version and I have installed that Linux version in my company. But tomorrow in the production, if I have any issues, whom I should contact? There should be some person who should be able to fix my issues, right? In the open source community, you don't have any particular company who takes care of that particular issues. So you will have to fix by yourself. So to address these issues, Linux or the Red Hat has given an enterprise support for the Linux portion. So what Red Hat done is it took up the Linux kernel and they added the enterprise support to the Linux kernel such that if I use my Red Hat in my company, and if let's say if I have any issues with respect to Red Hat, I can still go back to Red Hat and I can ask them to fix the issue because I am paying Red Hat for this support. So that is where your enterprise will come into picture. So Red Hat Enterprise is nothing but an enterprise support given to your Linux operating system. Okay, and the latest version of Red Hat is Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8. Okay, and now when you use Linux, as I said, the underlying platform is not at all an issue. The underlying hardware can be a local server or be a laptop, or it can be a virtual environment, or it can be on any cloud. So this operating system can run on any platform and it behaves same wherever you run it. So that's the advantage of using Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So as far as uh, uh, the pricing is also concerned, when you have the Red Hat subscription, you can use the subscription on any hardware. So you don't have to purchase individual subscriptions separately for cloud or separately for hardware. So you will have the companies will have the flexibility to switch the hardware. So let's say today you are running it on a separate, on a VM in your local data center. Tomorrow you might move your workloads to a public cloud. Then you don't have to buy a subscription again. So you can use the same subscription and you can run the enterprise Linux software in the cloud. Okay, so the users will have that flexibility of using the operating system anywhere. Now, this is the most important slide, and this is a favorite slide of mine in terms of Red Hat. So whatever you see on the screen, they call it as Red Hat portfolio. Okay, when I say portfolio, these are the different products that the Red Hat carries. Okay, and before we talk about these products, let me explain about Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Okay, so as I said, right, I have started my career in, I think, in 2005. It is close to 15 years. So, and of course, I've learned my Red Hat from Amrita Institute as well. Okay, so when I started learning Red Hat Enterprise Linux, Red Hat used to carry only Red Hat Enterprise Linux at that time. It did not carry all these products. Okay, so Red Hat at that time was just a company which provides enterprise Linux. So, but later on, they keep on improve the portfolio. They keep on adding the latest technologies like Red Hat virtualization. So Red Hat virtualization is, I mean, I cannot explain in depth all of these products because it might take more time. So I can quickly give a high level overview. Red Hat virtualization is like you can run Red Hat virtual VMs on a physical hardware. Similarly, OpenStack is the platform as a service that you can create in your local data centers using Red Hat OpenStack. Red Hat storage is a software-defined storage. Again, it's a big topic. So which can address all your storage needs. Similarly, Red Hat Satellite is a patch management system where Red Hat Satellite can help you to patch all of these Red Hat products. Next thing is you have Red Hat middleware, where it covers all the products related to JBoss, JBoss middleware, JBoss web server, JBoss AMQ messaging system, And if you have learned about messaging in your in engineering curriculum, I think you already have some courses in third year, if I am not wrong. Okay, so I can't remember because it's almost like 20 years I completed my engineering. Okay, so that middleware products will be handled by Red Hat middleware, and the latest product and the hot selling product is Red Hat OpenShift, which is the container platform, and the companies are rapidly using this OpenShift nowadays in every company. And if you see the you as a good example is your Netflix. You see a lot of movies every day in Netflix, right? The Netflix has done a digital transformation using Kubernetes and Dockers. So that, and similarly, you have other companies like Grab, Uber. All these companies are using these technologies, the container technology, operating system, and these kind of technologies, so that they are improving the product functionalities. Okay, and similarly, Red Hat Core OS is another type of operating system which is used to run the containers on top of Red Hat. And CloudForms is a management tool which manages your entire cloud environment. And the another hot product which is selling currently is Red Hat Ansible Automation. So as the name itself indicates, automation will automate your day-to-day tasks. Okay. So if you observe, and you can also see this Fedora, OVART, RDO, and all these things, right? OKD, CoreOS. These are all the community versions of softwares. Okay, so Red Hat took up this community softwares, and let's take an example of OKD. Okay, so OKD is the community version. When I say community version, you don't get any support from anyone when you have any issues. So Red Hat has used this community software, and to this community software, it added the enterprise support so that you can talk to the Red Hat if you have any issues. And they have named it as Red Hat OpenShift. So the upstream product for OpenShift is OKD. But when you have any issues, you can go back to Red Hat and they will help you to fix the issues. And the same goes with all the products. So all these products are upstream products. Red Hat will help you to solve any issues on these particular products. Okay. So, and now you might have question in mind, why people are going for Red Hat. If you observe the screen carefully, you have all the softwares that are required to run the enterprise business. If you observe, I have operating system, I have virtualization environment, I have platform as a service, I have storage software, I have patch management software, followed by automation platform, I have container platform, followed by middleware. So with the help of Red Hat products, you can run an enterprise business. That is the advantage of using Red Hat. So Red Hat is now no more an operating system like 15 years ago. Red Hat now is an enterprise company which solves your enterprise problems, not only operating system. Don't think that Red Hat is only operating system. Okay, operating system is the core for everything, I know, but apart from Red Hat operating system, it has a lot of other products which we have talked so far, which will help you to improve your enterprise businesses. So that's where the companies are now, looking for this kind of companies like Red Hat, where one company can provide all the solutions, all the softwares needed to run an enterprise business. Okay. Okay, good. Now, the next important point is, okay, Sinatha, someone is waiting in the waiting room. Can you approve it? Srikar or someone? Yeah.
You can do that.
2 persons have joined.
I'm not
Srikar,
able to see. If you can see, you can join.
okay, okay. Srikar and Sweta.
Now I can see. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll do.
yeah. Okay, sure. Okay, so the now important and most awaiting a slide, which is how Linux is different from Windows. Okay. So now I know you people might be using your own personal laptops, or somewhere you might also seen a Windows operating system. Okay. But how Windows operating system is different from Linux. So Windows operating system, as you know, I think the first operating system which I worked was Windows 98, which was almost like 16 to 18 years back.
ఇంకో
That was
చూడు ఈరోజు
that was,
స్మార్ట్ వాచ్ ఆఫర్ ఉంది.
that was the first operating system. Okay, I have to mute Sweta. Okay, okay. So that was an operating system that is very prominent, where in terms of people are using, because there was only one operating system in the entire industry. Okay, so whether it is in servers or whether it is in laptops, everyone was using Linux. Okay, but it has its own limitations, and that's where the Linux has come into picture. The Linux has evolved, and it has addressed all the issues which you see, it on basically on the Windows platform. Okay. Okay, the first question, as I said, what is an open source? So you can see a simple example that I've written here. Okay, so let's say if you wanted to buy a car. Okay, so when you wanted to buy a car, you will try to see how the car works, and you will also try to understand the functionality. You will go to a test drive, and you will also look at the engine capacity, the features of the vehicle, and you do all kinds of those things, right? That is nothing but an open source. So you will have the flexibility to see what is there inside your car. And if you don't like any features, and you will have the liberty to get it changed, and you can modify your vehicle as per your taste, right? Same goes with open source. Okay, so when I say open source, the companies will have the liberty or the flexibility to change the operating system as per their business requirements. So there is no hidden files or hidden logs in your code, in the operating system code. So whereas in Windows, you might be knowing you have a lot of DLLs in Windows. I think if you have ever observed the Windows operating system, you will have a lot of DLL files or exe files. Did you ever try to open the DLL and read DLL? As far as I know, I don't think you can read any DLL file in Windows. That is because it is proprietary to Windows, and the Windows will be only, the company will have the rights to modify the code, and you don't have the flexibility to change it. But conversely, on the Linux, everything is a normal text file, and you will have the flexibility to read, understand each and every code written inside the Linux, and you can change the functions or features based on your requirements. That's the main advantage compared to Linux and Windows. Okay, and the second important point is secure. How secure is your operating system? When it comes to Windows, you will have a lot of security patches releasing every day, and if you see, I think you might have seen some updates on your laptops also, right? As soon as you update your laptops, what it will do? It will do a restart, right? Similarly, assume the same thing running on a server. If I'm running a server, if there is an update, after doing update, I have to reboot my server, and rebooting a physical server will take around 15 to 20 minutes. It's not like your laptop or your phone. So a physical server, it has to reboot, it takes 15 minutes. So do you think that business can stop for 15 minutes only for rebooting? No, they will not do that. That is the first point. Second point is, why do we need to reboot every time, even for a small patch? No, that is also not recommended. Unless if it is very critical, like kernel patching, you don't have to reboot the servers. So this is where your Linux also comes into picture. So you don't have to reboot Linux for any patches, unless if it is specific to a particular kernel, or if there is any particular critical update. And in my entire career, I have seen few servers in few environments where the server was running more than 4 years, 3 to 4 years without a reboot. You just understand how robust the Linux operating system is. So without reboot, it is running from past 4 years. So that is where your business, that is what your business critical application needs. Okay, so the business critical applications, okay, when I say business critical application, I will give you an example. Okay, let's talk about the bank sector. So you have ICICI Bank, you will be using to withdraw your money, right? When you are doing a transaction download, withdrawing of maybe 5,000 or 10,000, if the server crashes, what happens? You will not get the money. In turn, at the back end, in the database, it shows that you have already received the amount with that you have withdrawn. So these are all the mission critical application which should not stop even for a second. Just imagine. Okay, so that's where the enterprise business, that is the application we call it as enterprise business applications, mission critical applications. So these application needs such operating system which gives the what we call confidence to the companies to run production applications. Okay, that is the advantage of using Windows. And okay, it in coming part to review older computers, Linux can work on any system. Okay, so even if you bring me a server which is maybe 20 years old, I can still run my Linux operating system on top of that hardware. So you will not have any issues running hardware even if your hardware is older. Okay, and the next important feature is perfect programmers. Okay, so I have also worked with a lot of programmers in my career, and I've been doing the DevOps kind of role where I frequently talk to programmers, okay, like how they are trying to improve the program and what is the requirement to do that. So the feedback which I got from the programmers is they are more comfortable running their programs on Linux, but not on Windows, because of there are some challenges for the programmers and which they are not comfortable in doing those programming on Windows-based environment. So you understand how it's not like business requirement. The people are not willing to work on, the programmers are not willing to work on the environment which is not Linux, because they don't have that flexibility to run their codes. And as I said, software updates, Windows will have frequent updates, and Windows have to you have to restart your servers for almost like all patches. I don't say for every patch, for almost all patches you will need to reboot a machine. Or simple, I can give you a simple example. So when you have a Windows server, if I wanted to join the Windows server into a domain, even for that I need to reboot my Windows server, which is not acceptable in a production environment. So these are all the drawbacks of, some of the drawbacks of Windows environment, which Linux has addressed it. Okay, and next is customization. As I said, Linux is open source. You can do any type of customizations on your operating system to meet your business requirements. And of course, there are variety of distributions. Okay, when I say variety of distributions in Windows, okay, as far as Windows is concerned, how many Windows operating systems you have seen so far? Maximum one, which is only Windows, right? But what about Linux? As I've shown you, there are a lot of distributions in Linux: Red Hat, SUSE, Ubuntu, Mandrake. You have a lot of hundreds and thousands of distributors or different types of flavors are there. So you still have the flexibility to choose the Linux variant operating systems. Unlike Windows, it's not one. So you have a lot of variations in Windows, but most of the Linux distributors, whether it is distribution, whether it is SUSE or Ubuntu, they work in a similar fashion. Only the command might be different, but the functionality will not change. Okay, and the code that you develop on Linux machine can be run on any Linux machine. Okay, so don't think that when you write a code, it works only on Red Hat. No, it works on any Unix based platform. But for a software to run on Windows, you have to rewrite a code again separately for Windows and separate code for writing a program for Linux based environments. Okay, and of course, as I said, it is free to use. Okay, so remember that when I say free to use, it is not free of cost. Just remember that one. That is a key point. It is free for you to change the code because you have all the code with you. Okay, that's the meaning of free in terms of open source technologies. Okay, of course, you have better community support. So there are some millions of people working in community, some millions of people working around the globe to improve the Linux platform. Okay, or I don't say Linux platform, to improve the open source community. Okay, so if you have any issues, community is the one which fixes it, and later those fixes will be taken by Red Hat, and Red Hat will try to enhance, calculate those fixes, and it will try to incorporate those fixes into the next releases of Red Hat. That is how the community people help the OS distributors also help to improve the operating system. Okay, so that is how the community plays a crucial role in in building the enterprise operating system. Of course, reliability is the next thing. So you can, as I said, I said an example, right? I've seen some servers running from ages without a reboot. So that is the reliability that you get when you use Linux. Okay, even I was shocked. I know that Linux doesn't need a reboot. Even I was shocked when I saw the server which was running for 3 years, and it's not a joke. So running a server without a reboot from 3 years is something like we really need to appreciate that one. Okay, so that's the advantages of core advantages of Windows compared to Linux. There are a lot of other things, but these are the some of the key differences that makes you understand the differences between Windows and Linux based operating systems. Okay. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so the next thing is, okay, so far we have seen what Linux is and how it's different, right? Now we will talk about the career opportunities and how you can improve yourself, in improving your skill set. All these things we will try to analyze now. Now, okay, so now the hiring process, as I said, right? The hiring managers are finding difficulties to find a to find resources who has open source talent. Okay, mostly you have seen, right, in Windows you don't have to run any command, everything is GUI. By using your mouse click you can click the required folder or required settings, and you can change the settings. But unlike Windows, Linux is not like graphics. Okay, Linux has its graphics, I agree, but in production environment, most of the people don't use graphics. You don't need a graphics. Everything is command line. Everything has to be run in commands, and you can run the code. So the difficulty why managers are getting difficulty is, in order to run commands, right, you need to remember those commands, you need to run those commands, and the open source talent is rapidly changing. Okay, it's not like if you learn Red Hat you might get a job now, but you have to keep on upgrading your skill set. You should not just be on the same what you call technology. So now when you learn, we will see that how you have to improve in a career path in a different slide. I don't want to bring that here. So open source talent, you need to understand what open source is, and the people should be open to, we should be ready to accept any open source requirements. And the next thing is, coming part to skills, that the skills are divided basically into 3 categories. One is a developer, which should have a cloud skills as well. So the market needs around like 73% of developers, okay, who can develop the code on cloud, especially on clouds, or especially on the hybrid cloud. Okay, so you might not be knowing what hybrid cloud is. I can give you a simple example. So public cloud is the one which is being managed by third-party vendors. Private cloud is the cloud which you maintain and you have it in your data center. Hybrid cloud is where both your company can work both on a on-prem version of the hardware, and you can also work on the public cloud. Both combinedly, when you combine public cloud and private cloud, it forms a hybrid cloud. That is the importance of meaning of hybrid cloud. Okay, so the companies, they need 73% of developers who can do coding on cloud. Similarly, they need 60% of DevOps engineer. So what is DevOps engineer? Okay, so the name itself indicates DevOps is a combination of two words, developers and operations. So you know, right, developers will develop the code, operations manages the backend infrastructure, server, storage, data center, network, security, firewall, all those things. So combining these two words, you have DevOps. So DevOps engineers is now a key role. It's becoming very, it's already popular, but now it is even more popular that companies are looking at DevOps. So the meaning here is you have to know the coding skills. On the other hand, you also need to know how to manage the infrastructure. So previously, when I joined my career long back, there are separate team who writes developer. There is a separate team for the people who manage servers. There is a separate team for storage. There is a separate team for network. There is a separate team for security. You have various departments. Now, due to the cost, companies are now not following that model anymore. So they are combining the skill set, DevOps, SecOps, all these things. So it's a developer responsibility to manage the operations as well. So developer, when he writes the code, he should be able to bring up a server and he should be able to deploy the code. So that's where the DevOps has come into evolution. And the third portion is system administrators, which is 53%. So any code, any software or any program that you write in any organization, it needs an operating system, right? That is where your system administrator is. And if you see, you have heard the recession times in IT industry, right? Recession time is a time where people loses the IT jobs because of lack of projects or the market is down. But even in the recession, okay, the only team who has jobs in hand is only system administrators. It's a simple logic. Whether you are in recession, whether the market is good, all you need is a system, right? That system administrator. And as far as I know, I have not seen any system administrator being on the bench. They will have something or the other opportunities so that they don't lose their job. So that is the advantage of system administrators. Okay, I don't say that developer are on bench or they don't have jobs. It all depends upon the individual skill set. I don't degrade the developers, because without developers, the code will not be written or run. But system administrator plays a crucial role rather than developer, because for any code you need a system administrator. Now, and the core and the next important point is, in another 2 to 3 years, or maybe not even 2 years, another maybe 1.5 to 2 years, this sector will go away. So you don't have any kind of administrative jobs in IT industries. All you have is a DevOps and the developer code. That's it. Developer and DevOps. Because companies don't want to invest on the resources individually on all these categories. So that's where when you learn Red Hat also, the Red Hat falls under this category. Okay. So when you learn Red Hat, you will be into this category. Later on, you can learn some other technologies. I will show you later, which is OpenShift and all. With that, you can transform your skill set from system administrators to a DevOps role, so that you will have the more scope of getting a better jobs with a better salary. Okay. And the most important point is most of the half of the hiring managers are looking for a certified professional. Okay, so okay, certified professional. When I say certified persons, it doesn't mean that certified professional will have all the knowledge. No, certification is only just a gateway to get a job interview. It all depends upon how you answer the questions in the interview. Okay, so professional certificate will help you to, it's just a gateway to get an interview call from the companies. But if you are certified, it doesn't mean that companies will directly hire you. No, but certification will help you to achieve your goals in order to get a better job. Okay, and then okay, so that's all about the Red Hat the current market strategy and the trends. Now we will talk about the global learning services, which is from Red Hat. Okay, so basically this program is for what you call basically they call it as Red Hat Academy Universities, and basically this RHA universities is for the especially designed for students, so that they can get trained when they are still learning or completing their graduations. And this GLS has a lot of trainings inside. It has 60 plus courses, which has 45 plus exams, and with a lot of 100 plus different partners. And as I said, the training has a lot of other products like middleware, containerization, satellite. All these things are incorporated into the GLS training. And and the coming part to training, on the right side, you can see the ways that you can get trained using the Red Hat GLS. Okay, so one thing that you have is classroom trainings, where you can reach out to Amrita Technologies, where they will try to identify what are your needs. Then they can schedule a classroom training, and you can walk to the institute, and the faculty will give you a face-to-face training for that particular course. And the second thing is on-site training, where if you have a lot of students and your friends wanted to learn, maybe a group of 5 to 10 people, Red Hat can also provide you an on-site training, where the trainer will come to your college or your location. He will try to explain, or he will try to train the topic. And of course, you have virtual training, because it's and now everything is online because of this COVID situation. You also have virtual training, and you can also have a recorded video classroom, or you can also have virtual live instructor-led training, where you can ask any questions live in the training, or you can also leverage on video classroom, which is all pre-recorded videos, where you can understand how a particular product works. And similarly, you have Red Hat subscription, where with the subscription you can get what you call access to various services under GLS, like exams, videos, trainings, materials, and all those kind of stuff. And you can also have the access to the HTML based learning through GLS. Okay, and right after the training, the extreme right side, you can see how you can be tested. So for the testing, we have classroom exams for some of the exams, and basically Red Hat is now slowly moving into online based exams as well. But especially for Red Hat, you can still go to still have a classroom based exam, or else you can also have a, online exam as well. It depends upon your interest. And then individual test centers, you can also go to individual test center, something like a kiosk or a Pearson VUE kind of environment, where you will be given a machine and you will be able to give an access to the exam, and you will be asked to solve the question paper that you see on the exam. And then the next thing is remote exams, where you can you can write the exam by sitting in your home, by connecting to Red Hat environment. So these are different various ways how you can get trained and how you can get tested by using Red Hat GLS. Okay, so I think this is the best platform that you get, because even when I started initially, right, we didn't had this GLS long back. So we had to go to institute, we had to be in the class, we have to do all those things, travel along from, almost like 20 to 30 kilometers to institute and train and do all those things. But now it's not the case. So everything is online. So you will, everything is under your, on your laptops. Okay. 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 Now, the next thing is, how you can identify the values or the package that you get with Red Hat. Okay, see, if you see the three scenarios, right, um, every, you can see those three buildings as three companies, and every company had their own offerings. Okay, when you get a job, some companies might give you only salary or package based on what is being agreed. And the second type is, it might give you some allowances like food allowance, travel allowances like taxis and all this kind of stuff. And the third type of company where it gives you some additional allowances like food, salary, followed by taxi allowances, and you will have option to work from home. They will give you some holiday packages where you can take your family to holidays and spend some good time with your family, and you will also get some on-site opportunities in your company. So these are all various ways of getting the what you call I would say the benefits from the companies. Okay, so it all depends upon the company you choose, like what is the benefit that you get. But don't expect the third company to be your first company. No. So the path starts from 1, 2, and 3. So first you will be getting, as an initial career, you might be getting a salary, then you will move to a next position, and then you will go to next position. Okay. So that way you have to build your career, and you have to be strong in uh, you know uh, learning these technologies and moving with respect to market trends. Okay, and then the next slide is talks about uh, how it adds a value. Okay, now, okay, so you might ask a question. Hey, I have done my graduation with 90% or 80%. Why I still need to do certification on Red Hat, spending some amount? Okay, that's a valid question. I understand that if you are really a topper with 90% or 80%, I understand that you will you don't have to spend extra money. You can get a job, but the current market is not like that. Okay, even if you get 99%, you have to show that you have some set of other skill sets. Okay, let's say in your company I have, let's say there are your friends, there are people who got 99%. I have 100 people, 100 students who got 90, let's say 92%. When these 100 people, when they go to interviews, right? How would a company identify a skillful person? Because everyone has the same level of skill set. Everyone has the same level of what you call percentage. They cannot identify you, right? So that's where the certification will come into picture. So as soon as you complete your what you call graduation, if you have any additional skill set with professional certification, remember professional certification, not a normal online training, a professional certificate where a particular company, a big company such as Red Hat approves you saying that you are a certified person to run a particular uh, you know software or an operating system. Okay, give me a minute. Okay, okay. There are some questions in the chat box. Just give me some time. I will try to address all those questions in the Q&A. In the meantime, if anyone has any questions, you can drop your questions in your question and a in the chat box. I will try to address one by one in the Q&A. Okay. Sure. Okay. So that's where your certification will come into picture. So nowadays the competition is huge. You have to have some additional skill set which proves you that you are different compared to other candidates. Whether you get 60%, whether you get 50%, or whether you pass in a border marks, it doesn't matter. Only thing is you need to have additional skill set, and that additional skill set should match the business requirement. So currently the market trend is, as I explained you, the current market trend is Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So if you learn Red Hat Enterprise Linux certified, the companies might think that, okay, this candidate is ready for picking up the system administration role. So they don't have to train you whenever they onboard you. No, because you already trained, you can go straight away, start the job, and doing you can fix all the issues in the company. So that's where it adds the advantage if you have the professional certification. Okay. Now, next thing is, as I said, Red Hat Academy. You have this academy. I think your college is under Red Hat Academy. With the Red Hat Academy, your college, all the students from this college will get a 50% discount, both for the exams as well as for the what you call the training. And as I said, if there are more number of people, exams can be conducted at your campus, and of course, uh, you'll be getting a global certification from Red Hat, where the certification is valid throughout the globe. So whenever you produce the certificate, wherever in whichever country you are, that should be a valid certificate. Okay. And of course, as I said, you will get the access to all of the contents in Red Hat site Academy when you subscribe for Red Hat Academy. And with all these add-ons, you will get a better career opportunity. So the platform, the learning platform is ready. You don't have to do anything. Spend few amount of money. You will get access to all of these resources. Spend some time, read, get certified, and you can jump to a the production environments where you can handle the issues with respect to an enterprise companies. Now, job opportunities. Okay, so you in your class, you might be having maybe close to 120 130 students, right? Everyone will have its own, they will have their own interest. Someone will have interest in artificial intelligence, someone wanted to go to machine learning or deep learning, someone wanted to go to cyber security, or they wanted to work on IoT, Internet of Things. Someone wanted to interested in cloud computing or DevOps or full stack developer, or he want to be an edge computing, he wanted to work on a robotic process. The requirements keeps on changing. Okay, so but if you observe all these the various platforms, right, as I said, the backend server or the backend what you call the backend infrastructure is maintained by Red Hat Linux. So in whichever department you go, whether it is machine learning or whatever you see on the screen, right? Whichever technology you choose based on your interest, you have to have knowledge on Linux, because all these industries or these particular types of roles, everything runs on an operating system, and that operating system is Linux. So if you know Linux is the core operating system. Okay, I can give you a simple example. In order to get engineering seat, you have written all your MSET exam, right? Why do you want to write an MSET exam? Because that's a basic qualification that you need so that you can select your required what you call branch, CSE, IT, or whatever it is. Same goes with here. So Enterprise Linux is the base operating system like your MSET, where it is mandatory for everyone to learn in order to achieve the department that you wanted to work with, whether it is internet or cybersecurity or whatever it is. So that's where it's important for everyone to learn get certified. Remember, learn and get certified. These are the two things. Learning is not a big thing. So you cannot, you might be an expert in Linux, but in the resume, if you put like Linux, they don't know your skill set level. But if you put that you are already certified, okay, then people will know that okay, this person is certified. So this person has some level of skill set, advanced skill set, other than the other people who came for the interview. Then you will be given a priority because you have global certification in your hand. Okay, so that's all about opportunities where every domain, these are only few domains, but there are a lot of other domains. If you go to I think the audience might be from a mechanical or civil team or civil engineering as well, right? Even SAP HANA, some what you call the tools for this machine building tools you'll have, right? Some I forgot, man. Those tools like HANA, SAP, and all these things will also run on Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So everyone who wants to be a developer in any of these domains have to know what is Red Hat and have to be certified on Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Okay. Now comes the certification. Now, before we talk about Red Hat certification, right, there is one important thing that I wanted to talk about on the certification portion. Red Hat certifications is not like your normal certifications that you do for your other certificate. Like it's not like other certifications where other certifications are totally run on similar to multiple choices. Okay, and you can get the dumps in internet, read those multiple choice, and you can pass the exam. Okay, that is how the typical Pearson VUE exams will be. But Red Hat is totally different compared to other exams. Red Hat exams are all performance-based exams. Okay, so these are all performance-based exams where you will be asked to configure something on a server in the exam. So you have to run some commands, execute some commands, and then if you pass or if once the exam is completed, the examiner will try to validate the exam, and then you will be able to pass the exam. So everything is real time, and you have to, it's like a hands-on exam. Okay, now you can ask me why this is hard compared to other things. Now when I said global certification, right? So most of the companies, almost all the companies know how Red Hat exams are. They know that these are all the practical exams where the learner has to run something, and then only when he completes all the configuration, then only he will be certified from Red Hat. So if you get certified using Red Hat, companies think that you already have real-time working knowledge on fixing those issues. And all the exam questions, what you see in Red Hat is mostly related to real-time scenarios. Okay, so even those questions, you will use those solutions in real time in fixing those issues. Even now I'm using those solutions in my real time. So see, that's the importance. That's the beauty of Red Hat exam style. Though it might be hard, a bit difficult to learn, but once you learn and understand, you will love to write more exams in Red Hat, get certified. And I have seen people know how hard the Red Hat exam is, and once you are certified, the other colleagues or in your company, right? They will assess you based on your certifications. If you are a Red Hat certified, people think that it's not like a dump. So you might have worked hard in order to pass through the exam. So this is the feeling in real time your colleagues will have when you pass the Red Hat exam. So all these are real time. You have to read, understand, train, and you have to do a hands-on training, and then you write the exam. Okay. And for the certifications, as I said, we have core system administration, where we have system administration 1, 2, and 3. These are levels of system administration where in this you will try to understand how to install Linux, how to configure Linux, and how to do some basic stuff. in the system running on Red Hat. And 294 is a kind of a advanced course on administration, where you will know some additional high-end configuration that will be performed on this particular course. So when you complete these 3 courses, you will be confident enough, you will get the confidence to fix any infrastructure related issue even onto the production systems. If you complete the exams, you will automatically get the confidence. No one has to give you any confidence. When you pass one exam, you will automatically get the confidence and you will think that you can do anything. So that's the advantage of completing these certifications, so that it's just gives you an add-on boosting when you pass a Red Hat exam. Okay. And similarly, you have some cloud computing exams like CL100, which talks about Red Hat OpenStack, which is a platform as a service. Okay, I will not be able to explain this because it needs more time, but this is one of the tool that is used popularly in telecom industry. You will also be learn in this course, you will learn about OpenStack, and D180 is the basic course which talks about the containers and Kubernetes and OpenShift, and where you understand how market is changing from virtualized environment to containerized environment. Similarly, if you want to be a pure developer, you can opt for this option, where you will be understanding what JBoss is, how to write a program in JBoss, how to execute it, and how you can write the microservices based on these JBoss. Okay. And on the right side, you can see various certifications. So RHCSA is Red Hat Certified System Administrator. This is the basic and preliminary exam that everyone has to target. It basically, as I said, it talks about the basic system administration task. Okay. The next level of certification is RHCE, which is Red Hat Certified Engineer, where you will have some kind of advanced topics, what do you call advanced topics. In order to complete RHCE, you have to complete RHCA. So the first career path, whether you choose administration or whether you choose cloud or whether you choose middleware, irrespective of whatever domain you choose, you have to complete these 2, because whatever software you run, you have to know the underlying operating system. You have to know how the operating system works. So for any person who is now going to a market, first focus on RHCSA and RHC. Get certified, get familiarized with the operating system. Then you start working on whether you want to go to a cloud or whether you want to go middleware. Based on that, you can choose your course and you can start reading and understanding that particular course. Okay. Of course, there are some other courses for application developer, Red Hat Certified Enterprise Application Developer, which is 183, which is specifically for the application developers. And the other course is for application developer for microservices. Okay, microservices is also a separate topic which we cannot discuss, but microservices are something like a small softwares which are combined together to form a big application. That's a simple definition of microservices. You will come to know when you understand more about OpenShift and when you work more on this kind of environments. And there are some preliminary exams like 180, 110, 124, which you can also go with this one. But as you guys are already working on CSA, you might be having some experience on how the operating system works and how the program works, right? I would recommend to go for RHCSA and RHCE directly, rather than going for the preliminary exam, because you might be knowing the basic stuff. As far as I know, in CSC, they have also added Linux, if I'm not wrong, in your curriculum, if I'm not wrong. Okay, so yeah, I think some of the labs in some of the engineering colleges are running on CentOS or Linux. So yeah, I remember, I recall that one, but okay. So you might be knowing the basic operating system. So better you can start rather than going to 180, 110 or 110 or 124. You can directly jump to RHCSA and CE, and you can get certified on that one. Okay, and finally, these are some of the few companies that they are leveraging on Red Hat products. When I say Red Hat product, it can be an operating system, it can be a microservice, or it can be a OpenShift, or any kind of, you know, what do you call, all software that you have seen in the second slide, right? So these companies, not only these companies, these are some of the top companies, but even a small startup company is also using Red Hat. Even I have, in my career, I have worked with 2 3 startup companies. Then I've worked with most of the big companies. Like I worked with Oracle. I worked with Nest Technologies. I worked with Google on a project. So from the startup company to a multinational company, I have seen companies using Red Hat as the enterprise operating system. Okay, and in the current digital transformation world, Netflix is a good example of how Netflix has leveraged on digital transformation using containers. So you can check in Google if you have any questions, like, you know, you can search something like Red Hat and Netflix, or Red Hat and Amazon, or you can search something like containers, like you can search for Red Hat and what you call Uber or Grab. So these are all the companies who have gained the what you call a good amount of what you call progress in moving their company towards digital transformation. Okay, so, yep. So it's not like only these companies. Don't think that only big companies are using it. No, even a startup company uses Red Hat Enterprise Linux, because even startup companies are running mission critical applications, and every mission critical application needs Enterprise Linux. It is not dependent on company who uses the Linux. It depends upon the application type it is running on operating system. Okay, so as a thumb rule, every mission critical application needs a Unix based enterprise operating system, which is nothing but your Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Okay, so that's all I have for today, and let's open up for Q&A, and I have some questions in the chat box. Okay, price and duration I will ask Srilata to address. And I think from Ramana Reddy, data science, yes, I have seen lot of data science people, data scientists working on Red Hat based environment. There they run the data science tools like SAS, Cloudera, Hortonworks, and lot of other products like Tableau, and all of these data science product on top of Red Hat. I am the I'm the one who is closely working with data science people, which they are running their workloads on Red Hat based environment. And definitely your data science or AI workloads are definitely supported by Red Hat. Red Hat will be able to handle all the workloads starting from a normal application to a data science application. Okay.